pressed. What's up, y'all? Madam X, Frequency Road Radio. With all that's going on in the world today, I'm not pressed to do like celebrity topics and things like that, right? It's too much going on for that shit. But, you know, this is an astrology channel and it all ties back into astrology, right? So, I think it's worth talking about this August Alsina, Jada Pinkett, Will Smith thing, just from an astrology perspective, just so that you can better understand signs. And let me say, I'm the type of person where I believe, I watch teachers, I watch people that's been into astrology for a long time, some that people would call astrology gurus and things like that. But God gave us all our special sets of knowledge. And I don't subscribe to people or listen to just follow people blindly. I don't do that. I don't care if you've been doing astrology for 1,000 years. Your soul lets you know if what somebody's saying is correct or if it's not. And then, it's always different strokes for different folks. A lot of people do their astrology differently. They subscribe to different beliefs within astrology. I think it's one of those things like many different roads lead to the same destination or the same path. So there could be certain systems or things that you use in astrology that someone else may use something different or look at something different in a chart or in the sky from an astronomer perspective to get to that same conclusion. So there's more than one way to do things. And just forgive the background noise, guys. I'm doing some things in the house right now. So just, there are different ways to get to the same conclusion. And I've heard people say, I've heard astrology gurus, some of the most popular ones on here say, the signs don't mean anything, especially like teachers I've had, because I've been to astrology classes, I've sat in astrology classes, I've been formally taught astrology in a few classes, and even like some of the teachers that I've had, and these would be like more traditional, I'm watering plants, y'all. These would be like more traditional astrologers. A lot of them don't believe in did I just pour the water right on the floor? A lot of them don't believe in like signs as far as telling your personality and things like that. They'll say, the big thing about astrology, I think once you really get the aspects, how it affects your life, things that may happen, things that may be fated or areas where you may have some free will and things like that. So once you get into aspects and I don't care if you study Vedic or Western tropical, I think if you're a real astrologist, you need to know all systems of astrology, or at least 2 or 3 different systems or methods or ways to look at astrology, because it's sort of like mathematics. You're supposed to be able to do several things to check a problem. Once you solve a problem, there's several other ways to check to make sure your answer is right. So you should be able to confirm something in another system of astrology, because, sorry, y'all, I had a phone call. I had to put these 2 together. So, and if you can't do that, then there must be falsities in whatever system of astrology you're studying, or it must not be a valid system of astrology. And if Western's valid, if Vedic's valid, gematria, whatever forms of astrology that you do are valid, you should be able to use those to check and balance the other system. So I hear a lot of astrologers say, ones who've been doing astrology for a long time, the signs don't mean anything. That's ludicrous to think that signs tell you personality. You got to look at this in the chart and you got to look at that in the chart. And I'm just here to tell you that's bullshit, because signs, I don't think the importance gets put on signs like it should. Signs tell you a lot. And I'm not even talking, I'm starting to question even the rising sign, because a lot of people say, the rising sign is where your looks are. The rising sign shows this and shows that. But, I tend to disagree, because I'm telling you, I have become, and I'm telling you, I think I'm over 50%, but I've become really good at guessing people's signs, not based on their rising, based on their sun sign. I have become really good at guessing just random people's sun signs based on something about their personality that I've observed and I've seen. So I think there's some knowledge and some real value to be gained if people start looking at the signs more. Those signs mean a lot. I think they mean a lot more than a lot of your so-called guru astrologers seem to put on there. And I know this is true because my own life, the things I do in my own life have been an example of it. Like I've become very good at kind of guessing. And this is the thing. People like to discredit signs, but then you look at a birth chart, you have a whole birth chart, and we're all a mix of the different signs, and different things are more prominent than others. So it makes sense that you can't just tell everything about somebody based on their sun sign. That's just one aspect of a person. That's just the thing that may shine the brightest, but that might not be the plan or aspect that plays, maybe a deepest role, that maybe there's something else there that changes their personality. Or maybe you can guess and say, well, hey, somebody's a Libra, but they got this going on. They got these Venus and Scorpio, so they act scorpionic in certain ways when it comes to certain things. So I think it's just stupid when people say, oh, you can't go off a sign. I mean, somebody tells you these signs act like this. Somebody tells you these signs act like that. That's so general. I mean, how can you go off of that? Yes, it's general, but once you get into a person's chart, that's where it breaks down more. And if it wasn't important, it wouldn't be a thing. It wouldn't be like one of the first of all, it wouldn't have blown up the way it did. Like, people are really into their sun signs, right? But they don't know a lot about the other parts of their chart. And second of all, it's almost like the starting point, the foundation is just the sign. Before you get to houses, before you get to aspects, before you get to star constellations, before you get to fixed stars, before you get to lunar mansions, before you get to navamshas, before you get to any of that shit, before you get to yogas, before you get to any of that shit, you got to start with Aries through Pisces. That's just how it works. So I think anybody who's intuitive, or at least halfway knowledgeable, realizes that it means more than people try to give it. They try to downplay it like, oh, the sign doesn't mean that. It's not in the sign. Yes, it is. And I'll tell you how it's in the sign. This is leading me to my conversation because that's why I find it interesting. And a lot of people may take it as bullshit. Like, oh, that's the sun sign. It's not all the same. Yes, people are different when you look into their charts. But the core nature of a person, the tribe that you came into this world. So that's like being from a tribe, being from a certain culture. It's just certain foundational things that are going to be there. That is all based in your astrological zodiac sign, okay? Before you go any deeper, that's just really the simplistic mathematics of it all. And I say that because I'm kind of busy right now, so I'm not going to pull up the charts of August Alsina, Jada Pinkett, and Will Smith. And I don't want to make this video too long. I just want to shed a little background on what I've always thought about the situation. And just to kind of help you see through some of the smoke and mirrors. Because I think a lot of people, see, this is why it's important to understand somebody's sign. Because then a lot of times you'll understand the mechanisms that they use to cope, to deal, to communicate, when they're trying to manipulate and when they're not, because you'll understand the nature of that sign and the planet that rules that sign. So, just to show you how signs really mean a lot. So, I've been into astrology really kind of all my life, just studying it, in my past time, in my personal time. It's just been a passion. So, I mean, it's young since being a really young kid. So I always say, I know this is my purpose in life because I can't even think back to a time where I started like a lot of people, friends that I've taken astrology class with, my Scorpio girlfriend. A lot of people say, oh, I remember I stumbled across astrology at this particular time in my life, or when this was going on or that was going on. But there's no time where I can think back to think of when I started studying astrology, because I've always, since a little girl, I've just always been into this kind of thing. And it's just like you do something for years and years and years. You just read about it because you're passionate about it. And then it's kind of, you have a discovery that it's your mission, it's your life. So for years, since I've really kind of gotten into a deep study of astrology, like I would say for the last 5 years, one of my things that I really took to is something I'm good with, being a Cancer. For those that don't know, Cancer rising, Cancer sun, Pisces moon, in Vedic, Gemini sun, Gemini rising, Aquarius moon. So one thing I've done for the last 5 years, I don't know what it is it about people's zodiac sign, sun sign, that has really stuck out to me. And I've made a lot of connections with how people act, how they communicate. Like God blessed me with the discernment to see those interactions and to see those commonalities between people of certain of zodiac signs, of their sun sign. And even their signs in other placements. We're just focusing on the sun sign right now. So what I commonly do is I will guess people's sun sign. So if I've known them for a little bit, it's people I've never even met. I have a friend, her and I, we exercise together. And she is a friend I met in astrology class, and she could tell me about a situation about work, like about a boss or something a boss is doing or something somebody's doing at work. And I'll say, okay, hold up, let me guess their signs. I bet you they're this, that, or that. And usually for me, I'll throw out like 4 signs because it's 12. And the thing about the sun signs is there's a lot of commonalities between signs. So a lot of signs do the same thing. They just do it in a different way. The energy is expressed differently because of a particular sign that they are. So I always kind of guess 3 or 4 because it's possible that some signs are like others, or they display the same behavior traits. And when I'm really, really confident, I'll do I'll either guess just 1 or I'll guess between 1 and 3. But usually I'll throw out 4 signs. And I'll tell you, I'm going to be modest here because I'm always a humble person. I'm humble like God. I'm an angel reincarnated. I'm always right. I am always right. There has hardly ever been a time. And then these are people I haven't even met. I could hear something about maybe one thing a person did, and I'll be like, oh, I bet you I know what sign they are. So you can't tell me I don't care how long. See, you can read a million books on astrology, but if you don't observe in real life, if you don't have real life statistics and real life case scenarios, then it doesn't. What you're studying doesn't matter, because astrology is practical, and it is actually a fucking science that you can prove. It's like you go to the classroom portion of the class, and then you had to go to the lab portion where you actually do tangible experiments in real life. So that's just something I've done for the past 5 years or so, and I'm always right. I can maybe think of 1 or 2 times the sign wasn't in my top 3 or 4. And I'm just saying that as to not be a liar, because I don't even recall when that has ever happened. So a lot of times it's 1 of the 3 or 4 signs I have named. And sometimes I hit it right on the nose, which always amazes me. I was in the store the other day. Me and my cousin, we went to the store because he wanted to get something. So I went to get him something. And the 3 gentlemen I had purchased something before, we were just laughing and joking and kind of having a good time. And then the 2 gentlemen had got to play fighting. Now, mind you, I don't know these gentlemen. I had met one of the gentlemen once before when I purchased something from that store. The other 2 weren't there. I didn't meet the other 2 at all. And the other 2 is who I was having a conversation with. Well, I was having a conversation with all 3 of them, but the gentleman I had met previously and made a purchase from, he hadn't come out of the back of the store yet. So I'm just up there kind of bullshitting around, talking and laughing with these 2 guys. And they're kind of play fighting. So one hits the other one. And the other one who got hit was like, oh, my God, he hit me. Do you see he just punched me? And we were having a conversation. He was teasing me because I was saying only the man was strong enough to do something that he was helping me with. And he was like, oh, you're sexist. You're saying we can do it because we're men. And I was like, hell yeah, you're supposed to be able to do that. So he said, I was like, oh, see, you guys are punching each other. That's what men do. Like, just tying it back into this sexism conversation, since he was trying to make a joke and say I was sexist. And then when I said, oh, that's what men do, you probably deserve that punch because that's what guys do. They play fight like that. He had said back to me, and I'm telling you, swear to God, how Dad, on my father's grave, how the conversation went. So he said back to me, oh, see, no, I didn't deserve that. You didn't see, he hit me first. What he did was he emotionally hit me. He emotionally punched me. As soon as he said he emotionally punched me, now my cousin standing there, never met this guy before in my life. I said, you must be a Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces talking about somebody emotionally. No, I didn't say talking about somebody emotionally hit you. I said, no, I did say that. I was like, somebody emotionally hit you. I said, you must be a Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces. Then all of them just stopped. And he was like, I'm a Scorpio. How did you know that? And I was like, you just said somebody emotionally hit you. Now, guys, I could have been wrong. It could have been any other sign. Maybe they had a Venus in Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces. But the way he expressed himself, and it was coming out through his sun, and he was very vocal about his emotion, being emotionally hit or emotionally hurt, I knew he was a water sign. It just wasn't anything else to that. Another guy. Now, this guy works at the gas station near my house. These both just happened last week. So this is not counting the many other times I've done this. I go to the gas station. Me and this guy chat all the time. He has a little crush, whatever. Cute guy. Pretty short, but cute guy. So we have a good rapport. We talk, we chat, but we don't have like long conversations. I kind of go in the gas station, get what I'm getting, and then I'm off on my way. So one day I'm in there, and I don't know what the guy said to me that made me want to guess his zodiac sign. I guess because we had light conversation here and there, and I never even thought to ask him what his zodiac was or anything like that. So something he said, and actually, I don't think it's something this guy said. I think it was the way he looked. It was something about his style. Like his style wasn't overly manly, but he was well put together, well dressed. I mean, sort of like a classic man, something like that. Like just how he was dressed. Like he had on like dock shorts, like polo shorts and nice top, button up or collar shirt. And he just looked like he knew what style was, but it was like an intelligent style thing. And he had his, he's from the Middle East. So he had his little hair slicked back. I mean, his gel was popping that day and all of that. And I said, you know what? This is exactly what I said. And this is the order in which I said. I said, let me guess your sign. At first, I asked him what his sign is. I said, no, don't tell me. Let me guess it. I said, you're either a Pisces, a Taurus, or a Leo. Now, he said he wasn't that big into zodiac signs and things like that. He was saying that. And I said, well, let me guess your sign. You're either a Pisces. This is the exact order I said it in. I said, you're either a Pisces, a Taurus, or a Leo. Now, mind you, him and I never have a conversation past like a minute or two because I know he has a crush. So I'm like, before he starts talking about anything else, let me get the hell out of Dodge because I don't want to be put in no awkward position. So we never have long conversations for me to really know anything about him. This is just observing that you probably don't observe observations that your mind, you probably don't even realize your mind is picking up on. This is just shit that happens automatically, like involuntary thoughts and observations. So I said, I bet you're a Pisces, Taurus, or Leo. And he was looking, and I was like, he probably doesn't know his sign if he said he's not into astrology. I said, when's your birthday? I said, was I right? Because he was just kind of looking at me like, how did you know that? I was like, was I right? I said, which one? I said, was I right? Was I wrong? What are you? He's like, my birthday's in March. And I'm like, Aries or Pisces? He's like, Pisces. I just knew, and I don't know how I knew. I knew. So you cannot tell me looking at people's signs isn't valid.